Hello, I'm Sarah Jensen, editor of OEM OffHighway, and welcome to Design and Engineering Insights. Today I'll be speaking with Mike Terzo, CEO and CTO of Terzo Power Systems. Thank you for joining me today, Mike.
Hey, thanks a lot, Sarah.
So maybe if you could just start by providing some insight into some of the information and on the work Terzo Power Systems is doing regarding electrification of fluid power systems and within the heavy-duty equipment industry.
Yeah, sure. So when I first started working as an applications engineer in fluid power and working with off-highway equipment, it really quickly became apparent that almost every machine was hydraulically powered, and but the equipment literally moves the world. It's a huge industry with a global impact, but it's all hydraulically powered. So I also knew that hydraulic systems are extremely inefficient by their nature. Being an engineer, we control the flow and pressure and direction with a pressure drop, and that pressure drop is lost energy. So we literally have to, in fluid power, we have to sacrifice more and more energy to get more and more control. So that, to me, as an engineer, was sort of unacceptable. So I wanted to look at hydraulic systems, address their inefficiencies, and I knew we had to basically rethink sort of the whole architecture of a fluid power system. So started looking at, about 10 years ago, started looking at what were the largest contributors to lost energy, and that's valves. Valves create all the pressure drop, but unfortunately they're sort of a key piece in controlling the fluid and doing everything we want to do with hydraulics. So we actually developed the Hydropulse technology to completely replace valves. But in order to do that, we had to solve a bunch of challenges with advanced motors, motor control, software, to make it actually cost effective. We had to integrate everything in from scratch and from the ground up. But what was interesting is along the way, we learned there's so many other ways to implement our electrohydraulic stuff that may or may not remove valves from the system. So we found that we started off by looking at how do we replace valves. We found that there's a lot more than just replacing valves in a hydraulic system. But in short, all we do here at Terzo Power Systems is create a product, the Hydrapulse, that enables the electrification of off-highway equipment. So it's a piece of enabling technology, and we allow vehicle OEMs to develop their next generation vehicle platforms with our advanced, compact, and really energy efficient componentry for those platforms. So that's sort of what we do.
Mm-hmm. Okay, could you maybe go into the Hydropulse technology a little bit, or how it works, and what benefits it would offer?
It's actually pretty simple. This is our smallest one, but all we did was integrate the motor control electronics, which we call the inverter. We integrated that with the motor, and then we just have the pumping work function. And those three pieces really fully integrated just allow you to perform a lot of different fluid power functions, whether you're directly powering an actuator or a cylinder or powering a standard valve bank. Really the key was how do we bring in high voltage into a unit and then be able to perform all those functions. So it was a lot of integration, but since it's off-highway and rugged, everything had to be developed for our industry. You can't you can't go out and buy a ruggedized compact inverter out there. So we had to develop so many pieces of that from scratch, actually all of it from scratch to do what we're trying to do. So it's just integrating a motor, controller, and a pump in its simplest form, but it's all the little details that really take a long time to develop. So
right. Okay. So what are some of the benefits an OEM and then its end use customer can get from electrifying a hydraulic systems?
Well, it's interesting. So I actually started everything. I started everything with efficiency as the basis for electrification. 10 years ago, that's what I started looking at, and we do efficiency really well. So we just published our results from our 3-year California Energy Commission pilot demonstration, where we achieved over 96% energy efficiency. So we really got the efficiency side done. But what we also realized was there's so many other benefits from electrification of fluid power. When we significantly improve the efficiency, we can downsize the reservoir size. That reduces oil, size, weight, cost. We can also reduce the number of components. Actually, I think we hit 80 or 90% reduction in component count. So that reduces your engineering requirements in designing a system. It improves reliability. If you have smaller amounts of components and connections, that reduces leak points, failure points, so you can improve reliability. And then also your maintenance aspect is completely different with an electrified fluid power system. So there's a lot of benefits to the electrification. And then one of the really exciting things is it really allows us to start envisioning future digital solutions. We're sort of making up new terms here, because it's some new technology, but we can digitally control fluid flow and pressure. That allows you to do a lot of really fun things on the control side. The other thing that electrifying fluid power can do is it really enables digital solutions that we can't even envision yet. So by digitally controlling the flow and pressure, you enable IoT solutions and things that, honestly, we can't even envision. So that's really the next frontier of electrifying fluid power. That's pretty exciting. So the benefits are numerous, they're real, and what we've done is make it so it's economically feasible to implement this type of technology.
Okay, great. Well, and then I know you and I have talked previously about the California Mobility Center. Can you maybe go a little bit into that project and how Terzo Power Systems is involved with that?
Yeah, that's an interesting story. So I got involved before it was called the California Mobility Center. It was really just an idea. So I went over to Germany with a delegation from Sacramento here. There was policymakers, regulators, local advocates for mobility, and because Sacramento is sort of a hub globally for a lot of the electrification and mobility pushes, we went over to Germany to learn why this group called PEM Motion in Aachen, Germany, was so successful in spinning out numerous startups in mobility. And they've done that very successfully, creating billions in investment and growth in the region. And we wanted to look at how can we bring that over here and replicate that to some extent in the greater Sacramento area, because California is a great area for that. So we went over there to figure out how did they enable that ecosystem to allow specifically hardware and software, but it started with hardware startups to really bypass so many of the hurdles that are in existence for getting that technology to true commercialization. And since I've been through all those struggles as a hardware startup, I knew I wanted to be involved, so I went over there. And I knew also that if that type of ecosystem was in place over here, I would have benefited from it. I would have saved millions of dollars and years shaved off my time to market. So I really wanted to be involved with it. The difference that I knew in the US, there is a lot of accelerators, ecosystems, investors all around software startups. Mm-hmm. But for hardware, it's completely different. Software, you basically need an internet connection and a really good source of coffee to create the next Google. But mm-hmm. hardware, hard tech, you need millions of dollars in lab equipment, prototyping resources. 3D printers don't cut it in so many applications for hardware. Engineering resources, shop space, heavy lifting equipment. And every iteration can literally blow up and send tens of thousands of dollars up in smoke. We actually called, during our R&D phase, we actually called Fridays Blow Up Fridays, because that was the day when we planned our most high risk experiments, and they blew up a lot. So they were sort of blow up Fridays. That's something that investors don't typically want to invest in.
Right.
That's why they say hardware is hard.
Mm-hmm.
So the California Mobility Center is being established to be a hub of excellence for creating the technology for smart mobility. It's going to enable, and we've taken sort of what was done over in Aachen and sort of tweaked it for the American, our academic institutions are different, public-private is different. So really it enables industry innovators, educational institutions, and clean tech regulators to come together and create that ecosystem to help, I think companies like myself to really get to commercialization and scale up. So it's a platform, for addressing a lot of the technological challenges, and then really importantly, aligning the policymakers with the technology that's coming up. Because policymakers, it's not very successful if they just create regulations in a vacuum without understanding the technology. And the same on the technology front, we don't want to create the solutions that don't meet the regulation. So we have to have that ecosystem that works together. So it is truly a public-private collaboration. And then it addresses other things such as the rapid adoption of new technology with the ramp-up factory that is is an actual facility that's going up right now. And then we also have a whole workforce training and new opportunities portion of it to really pivot a lot of the workforce training into the new skills that are needed for the electrification. So that's sort of the California Mobility Center. I'm on the board. It's really exciting to see that moving forward. Most of it's been behind the scenes, and it's about to become very public. So that's going to be exciting, and hopefully a lot of people learn a lot more about it. Mm-hmm. And then what I'm involved with is obviously sort of representing the early stage hardware companies, especially in the off-highway space.
Okay.
That's sort of sometimes left out of the mobility discussion. Is the off-highway. They focus on the on-highway, all the Teslas of the world, but the off-highway is important, and it needs to be part of that discussion.
Yeah, agreed. Well, we look forward to hearing more about how all that comes about. And
yeah, we'll have some great information to get out to you to share to the industry, because I think it will help the industry as a whole, especially navigating the landscape here in California with the constantly changing stuff that's going on. So
right. Okay. Well, just the last question I had for you was sort of how you maybe see electrification progressing in fluid power or the heavy equipment industries in the coming years. I mean, it clearly seems to be on the upward trend. Do you foresee that will continue to be the case?
Yeah, that is sort of the most interesting question, right? Is I actually see an extremely exciting and amazing future for electrification in the off-highway and fluid power. Our industry is really slow to adopt since durability, reliability always trump new technology in off-highway equipment. The OEMs need to create vehicles that make financial sense. They need to make their owners money. They need to work day in and day out. And that's just a totally different situation than a lot of like passenger cars. We don't have people that are buying electrified dozer because for reasons other than making money. That's why they buy it. That's different than a Tesla or other on-highway stuff. So the current power densities of batteries make it a challenge as well. So we really have to look at new business models that make sense. But that is changing quickly, and I really think that if OEMs don't adapt, we are going to see some of the largest and most historic OEMs in our industry going slowly quickly the way of the dinosaurs. So we hope to significantly speed up the adoption for the OEMs and allow them to compete in this new, electrified landscape, this new mobility ecosystem, which it's here, it's coming. There's no stopping it. I think most people are in general agreement. Doesn't matter what side of the political spectrum you're on. It is happening right now. So we either need to look at how we get on board and really innovate and adopt, and find solutions for the end user, the OEMs and the regulators and the industry as a whole, or we're going to be left by the wayside. So I think that we can't change the way heavy equipment, we can't change what heavy equipment does. We still have to move earth, we still have to build bridges, we still have to pour concrete, but we certainly can change how we do that on the vehicle platform. So that's why I think it's exciting, and that a lot's going on. I think it will change significantly from what we're seeing right now, even in the development. I really think that a lot of the larger OEMs are focused on pieces of the electrification that may even be skipped over entirely. You look at hybridization. I was actually an early proponent of taking the stepping stone of hybridization to full electrification. I don't know if that's a legitimate stance now, as we're seeing, the improvements that we can do on system efficiency. It's a completely different deal now that we can save 80% on the overall system efficiency. That creates an entirely new architecture that we can look at. So it's going to be a fun, next 5, 6, 7 years for sure. We're seeing the acceleration really quickly, but the off-highway is still slower to adopt everything. The on-highway, medium and heavy-duty trucking is accelerating extremely fast, led by some of the regulations. But the off-highway is going to be a little slower for sure.
Yeah, that's what it seems. But like you said, it's definitely an exciting time, and will be interesting to see how it all continues to progress over the coming years.
Absolutely. No, it's fun stuff.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time to speak with me today and provide your insights on the topic.
Yeah, no, I appreciate the invitation. It's always exciting to see what's coming out, see what's going on, and you guys are right in the middle of it. So I'm jealous.